Welcome back. All right, 12 games on Saturday, so kind of a busy Saturday. There's late games, and honestly, it's a pretty balanced schedule, so it's just going to be busy. Not crazy, just busy. So we start off at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, which is why I'm here recording this tonight and having it post to the channel in the morning. The Tampa Bay Lightning, 17-5-4, keep rolling, and against a team that's rolling in the other direction. The Ottawa Senators, who are 7-16-1, which means this is kind of a fun game, right? This could end up being a trap game, I guess, and because it's a matinee game, you never know which team's going to end up being kind of sleepy to start the game. Away from home, Tampa's a not sleepy 9-2-2. They're 8-1-1 in their last 10 as well. Whereas the Ottawa Senators 4-9-1 at home, and they're 3-7 over their last 10. And so every now and then they get a surprise victory. Maybe they get one here. I'm not betting on it. Then we get into the 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific starts. And remember, I do a video of this separately. Every now and then I'll see somebody saying, you forgot to review, and they'll mention a matinee game. I don't forget to review any game ever, because since I'm watching it and I've got a board, obviously I would finish that board and go, oh yeah, I got to review this. Like, it doesn't happen. So 4 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific. We have 5 games starting then, but nothing else starting until 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific. So these 5 games get pretty good attention here. Starting with Washington and Buffalo. Washington 16-5-6, coming off of a loss tonight against Pittsburgh. The Buffalo Sabres 8-15-3, coming off of a loss against the Rangers. So away from home, Capitals are 7-3-2. Over their last 10, they're now 6-3-1. Buffalo at home, a woeful 6-8-1, and over their last 10, they're 1-8-1. So yeah, it's a rough time for Buffalo, as expected. Then at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 Pacific as well, the Chicago Blackhawks and the Toronto Maple Leafs in the battle to see who can cup their ear like this and listen for the cheers for a goal. I guarantee you're going to see that highlight during that game, before that game, of Austin Matthews doing that in Chicago. So 10-14-2 is the record for Chicago. They need to get better. Away from home, they're 5-8-1. Over their last 10, they're 5-5. They cannot be 5-5 in every 10 games. They will not get anywhere close to the playoffs. They have to basically win 7 out of 10 would help. On the Toronto side, they're 18-8-2. At home, they're 11-4-1. Over their last 10, they're 6-3-1. So Toronto slowed down a bit from their really good hot streak there, but Chicago's a team they should beat. They're pretty good against teams that they should beat. Also at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, the Anaheim Ducks continue their road trip, which has been mostly successful, and now they're against Pittsburgh, a team that's coming off of a win against Washington. 15-8-5 is the record for the Anaheim Ducks. Away from home, they're 6-4-3. Over their last 10, they're 5-3-2. And if they get 12 points in every 10 games from here on, they should make the playoffs. Pittsburgh's 13-8-5, but at home they're only 5-5-2. I'm surprised the home record isn't better for Pittsburgh. Their road record is better than home. Over their last 10, they're 7-2-1, and they're on a winning streak, so maybe they can ride that out, and tomorrow against Anaheim, they keep that going. Also at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, the Montreal Canadiens in against the St. Louis Blues. Montreal a woeful 6-19-3. The St. Louis Blues 14-8-4. I don't know if they're going to be shorthanded a player again tomorrow, but just throw Nathan Walker. Double shift Walker. He'll get like 4. Away from home, Montreal's 2-9-2. Over their last 10, they're 2-7-1. So yeah, that's happening. The St. Louis Blues are 9-3-1 at home. Over their last 10, a mediocre 10 games of 5-3-2, but they're trending in the right direction. And apparently all they had to do was not play with a full roster, and they get better. Who knew? 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 Pacific, the New Jersey Devils, who are now 10-10-5 in against the 6-11-5 New York Islanders, who find ways to snatch losses from the jaws of victory. Over their last 10, New Jersey's 3-5-2, which is handy because that's also their record away from home, 3-5-2. Whereas at home, the Islanders are 0-5-2. So this is a battle of somebody has to win. Over their last 10, the Islanders are 1-6-3. So if the Islanders are even going to have any hope at all, they need a big winning streak, and they need to win games like this at home against New Jersey, who are on the second half of a back-to-back after losing tonight against Nashville. Then at 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 Pacific, the Philadelphia Flyers, who suddenly have a winning streak going for them. It's 1. They're in against the Arizona Coyotes, who are 5-19-2. So Philadelphia should win this game. They're 5-6-2 away from home. They're 1-8-1 in their last 10. Whereas Arizona, they're 2-8-1 at home, including tonight's result, and they're 3-6-1 in their last 10. So their last 10 record is starting to drop again. So we'll see whether or not Philadelphia can win this and get a winning streak going, get to 10-12-4, and then maybe start, racking up at least some points, get some respectability back. I don't want to see Flyers fans wearing bags on their heads and all their profile pictures on Twitter. Come on, get those bags off their heads. Play. 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 Pacific is the start time for Boston and Calgary. So these 5 games will end. Then you've got this one here, and then we get into the nighttime games. So at 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 Pacific, the Boston Bruins and the Calgary Flames get involved here. 13-8-2 is now the record for the Boston Bruins, coming off of a somewhat fortunate win over Edmonton. Got to be honest, I really thought Edmonton was going to win that one. Calgary 15-6-6. Away from home, Boston 6-4-1. Over their last 10, they're 5-3-2. Calgary at home, they're 4-2-4. Calgary has to figure out how to play at home the way they do on the road. On the road, they're really hard to beat. Over their last 10, they're 6-3-1. So if this game goes to overtime, Boston wins, because Calgary doesn't win at home in overtime. They're 4-2-4 overall. So 4 overtime and shootout losses for them at home. Then we get to the Edmonton Oilers at home against Carolina. Yes, I'm wearing Edmonton because, sure, hope springs eternal. And this one's also at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific. So if you're in Alberta, your games start later. Because, sorry. 18-6-1 is the record for Carolina. They've got a really solid record. This road trip's been quite good for them. They're 11-3-1 away from home. Good road trip. They're 5-4-1 in their last 10, but again, they're trending in the right direction after that dip. I said every team goes through that dip, and then they come back out of it, which Carolina has. Edmonton 16-9 on the season. At home, they're 9-4. Those numbers are good. However, they're 5-5 in their last 10, and they've lost 4 in a row. So for the Oilers, things are trending in the wrong direction, and quickly they need to turn this around. Part of it really comes down to Draisaitl and McDavid are still getting points. Other players aren't. It is that old narrative which Oiler fans get tired of, and it's there, and it rears its ugly head at certain points of the year, and now is the time it's rearing its head for the Oilers. 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 Pacific is also the start time between Columbus and Seattle. Seattle needing to get things going. They've started losing again, and so this is where they've got to turn that around. Columbus is 13-11-1, decent record, but they're 4-8 away from home. So for Seattle, they're going to want to take advantage of that. Also, over their last 10, Columbus is 4-5-1. So they're still in the hunt, but it feels like Columbus might be fading. Columbus really needs this game, so does Seattle. This could be a game that has some fisticuffs in it. Over their last 10 games, Seattle's 5-4-1, but don't let that fool you. They've lost their last 2 in regulation, and they're 6-8 at home. So Seattle at 9-15-2. Has to be looking at, the Canucks have won a couple or 3 in a row now. So now Seattle's looking up at them. And yeah, it starts to get really dodgy if Vancouver continues to put up some good numbers. The odds of Seattle making a push becomes more and more difficult. Then at 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific, the last 2 games of the night start. The Minnesota Wild 19-6-1. Incredible record for them. They're 9-4-1 away from home. They're 8-1-1 in their last 10. They've won 8 in a row. The LA Kings 11-10-4 overall. At home, they're 7-6-2. And over their last 10, they are 3-5-2. Minnesota currently sits at number 1 in the power rankings. If they lose this one against LA, that might change. Won't change much. Really, Minnesota's been on an incredible run. They find different ways to win every game, and Cam Talbot's playing some of the best hockey of his career. It's a good time. So we'll see what happens. But for the Kings, 11-10-4, 3-5-2 in their last 10, but they've had some good games in there as well. 7-6-2 at home. And of course, they won that game against Edmonton, which they controlled for the most part, and then they went in and lost in Vancouver. It's just you never know what you're going to get with these guys from one night to the next. Also at 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific, the LA Kings, or the Dallas Stars, I should say. LA Kings I just talked about. Dallas Stars. It's been a long night. 13-9-2, which is okay, but they've lost the last 2. And I'm concerned because they're trending in the wrong direction. And this is what Dallas does. They're hot, they're cold. It just feels like every year they have like 6 or 7 games that are really good, and then they have 6 or 7 games where they really stink, and it goes back and forth. I'm hoping that they reverse the trend, but they're in San Jose tomorrow night. San Jose's 14-12-1. Away from home, Dallas is now 4-7-1. Not a good record away from home. They have to fix that. The last 10, they're 7-3, but they have lost their last 2 games. Whereas San Jose, they're 6-5-1 at home. Over their last 10, they're 6-4. They're always competitive. And if Dallas doesn't bring a full 60 minutes tomorrow night, San Jose is absolutely capable of taking them down and winning that game. But it should be a lot of fun, as all these games should be. And again, it starts early, it finishes late, but it's pretty well spread out, so it won't be too crazy for me when it comes to keeping track of everything, and that always makes it fun. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.